Let's take a look at the enigma of leadership. Historical theorists describe the great man theory of leadership, which states that leaders are born, not made. Environmental and historical forces create conditions that allow leaders to emerge. Leaders, in turn, affect these events with successful outcomes, leave their mark on history, and are studied for their behavioral characteristics. Traits of military, political, and socioeconomic leaders are studied to determine the characteristics of good leaders and to try to capture the necessary skills and behaviors of good leadership. Studies on leadership effectiveness have examined variables such as the concept and use of power, leader traits, leader behaviors, environmental and personal contingencies, leadership styles, and leadership theories and models. Leaders come in all shapes and sizes and display different leadership traits and styles. They have different personalities and hold different values and assumptions. Leaders range from great historical figures to common community members. What is clear and is undisputed is that leaders must have followers. Leaders don't exist in isolation. Leaders must motivate, stimulate, and inspire their followers. Leaders are a product of their times, their environments, their offices, their followers, and their own values and conceptualization of leadership, and are all essential parts of the leadership puzzle. For leadership to exist and function, for it to move others to achieve common goals and unite in a common purpose, a dynamic and yet fully unexplainable interaction must transpire between the leader and the follower. It is this dynamic interplay within the labyrinth of interacting variables that causes leadership to remain an enigma. Leaders need both a firm knowledge base and a command of psychological, political, and human relations skills to be successful. Leaders function within groups and do not perform their leader behaviors in isolation. Leadership is effective interaction among people, and effectiveness results when the leader influences others to achieve goals or accomplish tasks. Subordinates must first be willing to be influenced and then believe that the target objective is both reasonable and beneficial. When people perceive that they're treated fairly, they're more willing to consent to the request from authority. They must be able to see the direct benefit of their participation and receive honest information. Leadership has been defined as influencing, persuading, and directing individuals or groups to achieve the goals of the leader and of the organization. Cultural leaders stimulate the culture in the organization. They should observe the behaviors and identify certain assumptions held by its membership and determine whether they are vision-oriented or not. Visionary leaders are leaders who think about their decisions before they act and anticipate the responses of others. They reflect the possible long-range outcomes and effect on both people and programs of their decisions and actions. Moral leadership holds that leaders and followers have a relationship based on mutual needs, aspirations, values, and beliefs. In moral leadership, leaders take responsibilities for their acts and fulfill their promises. Leader success is thought to be attributable to distinct characteristics in the situation in which leadership acts are performed. Certain variables affect the leadership functions, which have relevance to the leader behavior and performance. Contingency leadership is an area of research that investigates leaders' traits, leader-follower conditions, leader behaviors resulting in effective action or behavior. Leadership traits and characteristics of the situation interact to perpetuate leader behaviors and effective outcomes. The word power is derived from the Latin word posse, which means to be able. Power is neither good or bad, but it may be used for good or bad purposes. Power shapes organizational behavior and its outcomes and is a key element in successful leadership. Power comes in many forms, but it is most effective through the more subtle activities of showing disapproval or displeasure through behavior. Power in an organization does not reside only with those having title or position on an organization's chart. Informal leaders practice leadership by consent, the voluntary compliance of others to the informal leader's will or inclination. Leaders do have power invested in them through their formal positions, and it can apply this raw power when all other leadership attributes fail to achieve results. Instead of relying on positional power of command and control, effective leaders rely on leader-follower covenants, which are rooted in mutual trust and respect, shared values and beliefs, and common goals. Ideas and ideals are also sources of power. They attract a following, they serve to inspire achievement, and they identify needs. Power used to influence and persuade has been presented as four sources of leader power. Rewards are provided by virtue of the leader's position and influence over others. Reward power depends on the kind and amount of reward the leader can provide and the attractiveness of the reward. Expert power is power coming from special abilities or knowledge possessed by the leader and desired by the follower. Examples are education, experience, and special training. Referent power is power stemming from the ability of leaders to acquire a following through their charisma. Their personality traits command respect and naturally attract others to their presence. Legitimate power is power vested in the leader by position within the organization. Legitimate power allows the leader to direct the follower to meet organizational goals. Coercive power, a fifth power source, is the opposite of reward power. Coercive power is the use of threats and punishments to make people conform and achieve to the leader's goals. Power in organizations is derived from three power sources: resources, technical skills, and knowledge. With any organization, people have power in proportion to the power they have over those three power sources. Quality is a concept that's beginning to replace effectiveness in discussions of organizational outcomes and leadership. Quality management has been popularly termed total quality management, or TQM, and contains 14 principles for transforming organizations and improving leadership. TQM calls for transformational leadership to implement a new culture into an organization. A transformational leader looks for potential motives in followers, seeks to satisfy their higher needs, and engages the full person of the follower. Vision unites the leader and the followers to achieve common, agreed-upon ends, and provides a strong sense of commitment, purpose, and direction necessary to achieve quality outcomes. Creating vision requires proactive leadership, an optimistic view of the future, and a determination that a better future is possible and attainable. Vision serves as a guiding philosophy, presents a tangible image, and is a compelling force of the organization. Vision must be shared, and it's built upon commonly agreed upon values, beliefs, and ideals. Shared vision is owned by all, and all are committed to it. It's built on participation in order to achieve vested interest. Vision must reflect the values of the organization and the people involved in achieving its outcomes. The search to find one best way to lead an organization is ongoing. During the early 1990s, Frederick Taylor's classic work on scientific management introduced time and motion studies, employee performance standards, and job training methods. Taylor's goal was to eradicate wasted time and motion and to determine how workers could best be selected, trained, paid, and supervised. The leadership that resulted has been described as authoritarian and insensitive to human needs. Promoting organizational effectiveness was the concern of Max Weber, whose ideal organization was a bureaucracy. The classical bureaucratic model provided hierarchical structure to guide activities within a complex organization. Human relations theories began with the work of Elton Mayo in the early 1930s. Here, informal social organizations in the workplace affects production more than demands from management or the physical environment of the workplace itself. The psychologist Kurt Lewin's research into group dynamics found that a democratic leadership style has a direct effect on organizational life and provides higher morale, greater cooperation, and higher work quality. The human relations movement provided insight into the complexities of organizational life and the realization that employees had multiple needs that had to be addressed if harmony in production were to be maximized. Behavioral scientists sought a more complete picture of organizational life, focused on the individual's reaction to organizational structure, and investigated the relationship between employee motivation and production outcomes. Frederick Herzberg maintained that people hold positive and negative attitudes towards work, and the work environment promotes them. Recognition, personal achievement, and development are motivating factors. Contingency theorists believe that effective leadership is contingent on the interaction of personal traits of the leader, the situation in which the leader is called for, and how the leader chooses to react to situational variables. Fred Fieldler's contingency theory maintains that leader effectiveness is a result of matching leadership style with the leader-follower situation and the individuals involved. Effectiveness results when employees are included in planning and decision-making and when they're rewarded and recognized for those efforts. Contingency theories indicate that a motive to employees and to promote job satisfaction, leaders must develop a climate in which followers have trust and confidence in the leader and can identify with the goals the leader attempts to achieve. How the leader relates to the follower in given situations becomes the important factor that determines outcomes.